The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello, everyone. It's Betty Ray, bringing you the Archangel Raphael. On this rainy day here in Florida, the sun is shining within my heart to bring to you a new chapter from Raphael's book, Ask Raphael. And it is called The Games People Play. You'll recognize them and you'll have a chance to laugh, but you'll also maybe recognize games you play. And if you do, then Raphael suggests you begin to look at it again and decide not to be a game player, but to be a game winner, because he will show you how to win at the games other people play. All right, are you ready? Again, we're reading from Raphael's book, and then we want to go this way. Ask Raphael. You can get it at Amazon, and it's Ask Raphael / Betty Ray, and that's RAE. Okay, so this is chapter 13, and it is on page 147. So, are you ready? Let's have fun. So, I'm going to read what Raphael says. Ah, dear souls, life is a game, and Earth is your game board. The players are all the people who are in your life now and may be in your future. Each experience with a new player opens a whole new chapter in your soul's story. He goes on to say, we encourage you to welcome and embrace every person who enters your stage on Earth. Although they may seem like a new acquaintance, they may be old soul friends who have gifts to share with you. They are an opportunity to move your soul one step closer to winning at your game of life. When your first impression of a stranger arouses caution, anxiety, fear, or mistrust, listen to your inner senses. Move with awareness while in their presence. They may be presenting a false face. They may have been an enemy in a previous lifetime where they may have betrayed you in some way. The emotional scar can fester and itch and awaken. Flare-ups of anger toward you for no reason may be triggered by these buried animosities. Finely tune your senses, to receive intuitive responses, but do not allow the negative energy between you to cause you to move backwards on your game board. Instead, greet the new player with openness and kindness, offering trust with a measure of caution. In this, you will take a quantum leap forward, even if this new acquaintance may turn out to prove your caution was accurate. On the other hand, allow for the possibility that perhaps the past lifetime rival or enemy has gained soul growth and sought you out to mend emotional discord. We say unto you, says Raphael, rejoice and be glad in all the players on your game board, for they have been previously chosen by God to appear at this moment in time to speed your awakening. He goes on to say, we shall examine the emotional games people can play as they enter your game board. Become aware that sentient life is only a game as each actor moves with you until they leave your life for one reason or another. Let us explore the ways they may play a role as challengers on your game board, and then we will suggest counter moves for you to always be the winner at your game of life. That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? Now, or they may put it more bluntly and say, it's all your fault this happened. And that's called the blame game. These are people who use you as an excuse for their actions or mistakes. You'll hear them saying, if you hadn't done this, then this would not have happened, and I wouldn't have done that. So it's all your fault, right? He says, beware, you have entered the blame game, which can throw you directly into the guilt game. These are games played mostly by younger, less experienced souls. They have not yet learned the law of cause and effect. It has been said that what goes out comes back. It is like a boomerang. When you send out loving, compassionate thoughts, it comes back like a kiss on the cheek. But when you send out vindictive, blaming thoughts, it can come back to you with unpleasant experiences. Players of the blame game believe that things happen to them, that life is created from the outside world inward, like everyone is out there to get them. The truth is, life is created from within outward. Your fears and beliefs are always being challenged. New knowledge and wisdom lead you to become the winner of your game. A beginner soul's focus is on the small radius of their own space within their own emotions and thoughts. They rarely see anyone but themselves, even as they look into the mirror of another's eyes. These souls blame the world for their mistakes or call it bad luck instead of having the wisdom to know the energy of each thought, each emotion, each intention is sent into the individual's world of energy to bring back experiences of like kind. When the spirit plays the blame game, they are seeing life from a victim's perspective because they believe they have no control over their lives. He says, oh, okay. Um, I've got a thing on my screen that I don't know how to read this program. Okay, this is Robert. Oops, it disappeared. Here he is. He says, hi, Betty Ray. My name is Bobby. Although I am a guy, I downloaded the Women for Women Network app specifically for this program. Well, welcome. And he says, hi, Raphael. It's nice to be connected with you. Do you have any messages for me? How can I better tune in to you? I love you, Raphael. Thank you, Robert, for joining us today. And these messages are beginning to look at the games you play. Everybody is trying to get content and happy in their own skin. And Robert, this is an opportunity for you to look at what games you play. So we're going to continue. We've begun with the blame game. If you find yourself getting irritated at someone because they did something that sort of turned back on you and caused you some discomfort, then you have to begin to look at this too. Somehow or another, this particular situation or confrontation, whatever you want to call it, is for your highest good. And how you approach it and how you work with it in this moment in time is how you will gain spiritual advancement. So, excuse me, Raphael goes on to say, players of the blame game believe that things happen to them, that life is created from the outside world inward, like everyone is out to get them. The truth is, life is created from inside out. Your fears and beliefs are always being challenged. New knowledge and wisdom lead you to become the winner of your game. So, here again, he goes on to say that intent is the most important thing that will help you to understand how you create your world. So, when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is give thanks to God for another beautiful day, even if it's pouring down rain or snowing or wherever you might be. Give thanks. Always be grateful, and you will be amazed how it turns lights on all around you. A grateful heart is a winner, and you will always find that you're on the winning end of any game other people may try to play. Always being grateful for the challenges as well as the gifts. So Raphael goes on to say, intent is the key thing here. If you had no intent to do harm to another, but something happened when the offended person believes you are to blame, then there is no blame or even a need for an apology on your part. Remember, intent. But if you deliberately offended another with malice into your intent, then repercussions may send you directly to jail and you are told, do not pass go. Also consider that perhaps that grave misunderstanding that caused the end to a friendship might have been your greatest good. The situation could have been set up by your council of elders to allow the dissolution of a relationship that was no longer serving your soul's development. Wow, this is for me as well as for all of you, because I've actually had the experience of having a friend say, I no longer want you as a friend. And I like, well, why? And she said, because I have nothing more to give. And I said, but that's not the whole idea of a friendship. A friendship is not just giving or receiving, it's being a friend. Well, didn't matter. Just she's gone. All right, moving on to the next game. It's called the entitlement game. And as a teacher, oh my, I ran into that. And that was many years ago that I quit. And and it was as though the students would sit back with their arms crossed and they'd say, okay, I dare you to teach me something. And if I don't like what it is, I'm just not going to pay attention. That's called entitlement, as though they feel you owe them the education and it's your job to teach them something. If they don't like it, it's your job to fix it. That's called entitlement. So to get to the bottom of that, um, well, when you run into people like that, as I did as a teacher, I taught junior high kids and they're full of entitlement. And this idea that I don't have to do anything if I don't want to, or especially if you have children who have been pampered by their parents, they expect you to pamper them as well. But I need you to fix this before I can do that. No, it is not your responsibility to, quote, make anyone happy. It's their responsibility as a soul that is learning that emotions are for them alone to figure out. You're not responsible for another person's happiness. Please, I'm going to say that again. You are not responsible for another person's happiness. It's their free will, it's their choice in every given moment how they're going to react to life. And if they are just a plain unhappy person, I would suggest that you kind of go the another way and kind of say bye-bye to them because you'll never make them happy and you might as well give it up. So, all right, we're going to go on to the guilt trip game. Now, we said the entitlement game and the other one, the blame game, always end up with somebody feeling guilty because they can't make somebody else happy. But let's go back and say, emphatically, dear ones, you cannot make anyone else happy but yourself. But yourself. You choose every moment how you are going to react to life. That's your free will. If you choose doom and gloom and everything's bad and everybody's out to get you, well, by golly, enjoy it while you're lasting in it. But if you're uncomfortable with it, choose again. Now, there's also the self pity game that Raphael talks about. And that's when it's poor me, I'm a victim, nobody ever takes care of me, I always have to take care of everybody else. You'll hear it going on and on and on and on. Poor me, I don't have enough of this, look how rich you are, I don't have anything. Oh, if you have to listen to someone like that, I pity you. In fact, I would suddenly have to have an appointment that I have to go to, or have to call somebody. I would find some excuse, and and get up and walk away if I could. Now, I did have problems like that when I had my retreat center in Michigan, and people would come and they would stay and stay and stay and stay, and finally I would have to say to them, "Okay, I'm done. I'm afraid you'll have to go home now." But it was hard for me to do because I'm a kind-hearted person and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. There I go, blaming myself for hurting another person's feelings. I can't do that unless they choose to be hurt, can I? So I was learning how to say no. how to say it's time to go. All right. So moving on, the anger game is the one I wanted to get to today. Oh my goodness. How many people do you know that use the anger game to scare you into doing what they want you to do, or to just give up because you just don't want to argue anymore? But that's not right. You have free will, and if they are using anger to take away your free will to do what they want you to do, then you have to stand up to them. You cannot allow that to go on. Anger is the action emotion. It can be good. Anger can be good when somebody is saying you cannot do something and you know you have the right to do it, then you have to stand up to them and say, "Excuse me, I am going to do this." And you cannot say, I can't, because I have the right to choose. Now, sometimes anger can lead to um, disruption and fights, physical. And if that's the case, if you have somebody in your life that if he can't get or she can't get her way, that she'll start fighting with you literally, then that's when you have to get out of there. You have to get rid of that relationship. It is no longer healthy for you. And I know it's not, if you've been in a relationship for many years, the best thing to do is to walk away, to go into the bedroom and shut the door. Refuse to talk to somebody who is angry and bullying. Those are baby souls and young souls. They will do anything they can to get their way, just like a baby would, temper tantrums and all. And anger, when it is abusive, is like a baby throwing a temper tantrum. You cannot allow it. So Raphael says, anger is an explosive reaction to an event or confrontation expressed through violent words or even violent actions. Many people today seem to resort to anger as a means of manipulation and control over others. They believe if they can outshout you, they win. These people are emotionally immature, and that is so true. And you can't make them grow up overnight, believe me. Their insecurity centers around the fear that their needs will not be met. Men are more inclined to use this technique of control others than are women. Mental abuse is only too prevalent in relationships with anger as the game changer. So, on the other hand, Raphael says, when anger arises within you like a volcano ready to erupt, it is offering you the opportunity to stand up for yourself against the games people play. Anger is pushing you to do something to take care of your personal needs. Act in the moment before the anger boils over. Act while you are still in a calm and peaceful place to speak without allowing your own anger to spew molten lava all over everyone. These volcanic eruptions occur when people push their anger down into their solar plexus, believing that it is not worth the confrontation it might create. In other words, they do not believe they are worth standing up for, or they believe the other person is not worth the energy it would take to speak up. By not standing up to a bully who uses anger to manipulate and control you, you are doing a disservice to yourself and the person. Unfortunately, when your own anger has fueled your emotional engine to overflow like a volcanic eruption, suddenly and without warning, your volcano erupts and everyone wonders what happened because the outbursts are out of proportion to the cause that has built over time. I have seen that in many of the consultations Raphael and I have done together. A person is so full of patience and understanding, but then in some time they just burst out and it's like a volcano erupting and molten lava spews over everybody and they don't know what happened. They don't realize that this person held back their own response to the demands that people were putting on them without even considering their needs. And at times they have to stand up for themselves. So take a deep breath, everybody. If you have issues with a person and you need to speak to them, you need to do it over perhaps a cup of coffee at a cafe so that you won't be spilling that molten lava over it. You will be aware of others around and you'll be able to keep your temper under control. But whatever. Now, Raphael goes on to say, justice is never served without calm reason and the intent for the good of all involved. The intent, remember, is very important. You always need to know what your intent is before you start any project. And a conversation with somebody over your needs can be quite a project, and you need to calm yourself before you get into any kind of helping the other person to understand where you're coming from. All right. Now, Raphael says, knowing full well and understanding you, that your spirit cringes from negative, angry words or actions. It fills your body with adrenaline to create that fight or flight urge. Listen to your spirit's emotional gas gauge. If your first response does not stop the negative force against you and you find someone yelling at you, and that's put in quotes, you might hold up your hand in a stop sign like this, and you might say calmly, would you please repeat that so my ears can hear it and not my gut? First time I said that to somebody, they just kind of jerked back and looked at me and cocked their head and went, wow, I never realized that I was causing you discomfort. But by saying it with humor, please speak in a softer tone so that my ears can hear it and not my gut. Now, people don't understand when they have an abusive way of dealing with you and they're angry and they raise their voice or they speak unkindly. They don't realize that it's anger that is overflowing. Excuse me. And so, Raphael says your spirit cringes from negative, angry words or actions. It fills your body with adrenaline to create that fight or flight urge. Listen to your spirit's emotional gas gauge. If your first reaction does not stop the negative force against you, and you find someone yelling at you, again, hold up your hand and say, stop, please speak in a quiet voice so my ears can hear it and not my gut. Learn also to say, no, I don't accept that. And also, let's brainstorm for new ideas to create a win-win situation here. Then practice in front of the mirror at finding the words to stand up to anyone who is verbally or emotionally abusive. Become aware when they are trying to manipulate you to take care of their own personal needs. Also become aware when a confrontation may lead to violence. Do not confront, make plans to leave. Now, the anger game is one that seems to be very, very prevalent in the world today. If people feel it's an injustice, they go buy a gun. Do you really think that's a solution to a problem? Is to buy a gun, and then if somebody comes and has a confrontation with you, you can shoot them? Do you think that's really going to end the confrontation? Why are guns so needed when it's because you have somebody that doesn't believe what you believe, or because somebody might want to argue with you about your beliefs, or have plain old discussion about it? So guns now have become a replacement for good old discussion, to have a chance to discuss your opinions without fear of somebody pointing a gun at you if you don't believe what they believe. Isn't that kind of what should I say? Going back to the caveman days, they had a club, and if you didn't believe what they said, they'd club you to death. Are you back in the caveman days that you have to have a gun to manipulate and control your life? You can't use verbal persuasion. You haven't learned how to use your words to make a calm discussion of what the other person's needs are, to see how you can cooperate or how you can help or how you can say, no, I'm afraid I just can't help you with this. But let me see if we can find someone who can. Then you have a win-win situation. But if you have to have a gun to persuade somebody to your way of thinking, What happened to language? What happened to the civilized world where you can sit down and have a discussion? Wars don't accomplish anything. They just kill people. And when people have guns and they're angry, they do very horrible things. Why would a person with a gun go into a classroom of children and shoot them? They have to believe somehow they're taking their power back, but how is that getting their power back? Instead, it is damaging their souls. They will have to account for all of the souls whose lives they have taken. Some way or another, in every lifetime, they will have to make up to that person whose life they took. They'll have to be some kind of a benevolent healer or a benevolent person to give them support financially. There's all of those things that create balance. You cannot ever create imbalance and not expect it to come back around to bite you. Compassion, love, understanding, reaching out, those are the only things that will guard you and help you to raise your consciousness, to lead you on the path to enlightenment. Confrontations, no. You need to be able to understand when somebody is in a confrontational mood and talking will not do. So table that experience until they're calmer and say, then I'll be happy to speak with you. But not now. You're too angry, and I will not listen to you when you are angry. Now, there's so much anger in the world that's why people take the guns, because they believe their anger is not doing any good. People are not listening to them. Well, maybe they're not rational enough for people to listen to them and they dismiss it. Oh, dear ones. The blame game is there. All of the other games. Now, here's another one. I don't know if you can see this, but this one is the money game. Can you see that guy with all that pile of money around him? Yeah, there he is, right there. I'm afraid that in today's politics, the money game speaks loud and clear. And whether you agree with the money lender or not, you really have to do that person's bidding or the money gets shut off. And if the money and the affluence and the power it brings is all that's important to you, then you need to think twice about where your soul is going. Your soul's not happy with that kind of thinking. That's the thinking of a baby soul. You want to be more grown up than that. And that means you need to go to the negotiation table. You need to discuss the other person's needs and see how you can compromise without letting go of your own ethics and your strong belief in what is right. Now, if you go to that conference table, you go to that person and you try to reason with them, and all they show you is anger, well, money isn't going to make a bit of difference. They can say to you, oh, just shut up, take the money and do what I say. No, you can't do that because you have to be responsible to your soul, not to anybody else on the planet. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, I can get away with that. Nobody's going to know. Your soul knows. Your soul knows. And it's saying, no, don't do this, please, because then we've got all that to undo. So your soul is trying to get through to you, but you clicked them off. Look at the world and look how our politics have sunk so low that money speaks louder than love for country. So much of the political is done by how much money you can get. And that's never going to get anyone anywhere. Only honesty and integrity and love of one another is going to heal our democracy, because our democracy is in trouble. It's listen to those people who want, and don't care how they get it. Now is time to listen to the divine wisdom that says, as you give, so you shall receive. So if you are giving for the money that you can get, well, money, 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 then your life has a price on its head, and you will find it is not a good price. Okay, so the money game. Now, there's also what's called the sexual manipulation game. That can be that if you're angry at your partner, you've got your arms crossed and you don't touch me kind of a thing because they haven't bent to your way or what you want. And so you withhold love. You withhold any of the caressing and any of the lovemaking that can be so beautiful and so beneficial to your soul. You withhold that to your partner because they haven't done what your bidding is. And that is your loss as well as your partner's. So don't ever use that game. Now, I also have what's called the energy vampire game. And this may not seem that way to you, but it's really those people that seem to be have only a one-sided conversation. They're yakking all the time. And the only way you can get a word in edgewise is blurt it through a sentence before you can get it out. And then they don't hear you and they just rattle on to what they've said. Those are what I call energy vampires. They're sucking the very life out of you. And the best way for you is just to and let them talk until you can find an excuse to get away. Those people that are so concentrated on what they want others to hear, they will rant and rant and rant and rave and rave and rave. And pretty soon there's nobody around them. There are no friends left. And money cannot bring them back because it's too much torture to constantly listen to them. We're really waiting for some comments. Okay. Thank you, Robert. I've got your information there. Okay. Um, he's asking if we have any comments for him. How can I tune in to you, and how can I better tune in? Well, I would say tune into Raphael. Yes, that's what we're trying to do. And all the archangels. They're all there ready for you. What you have to do, and I think this is important, so I'll answer your question, is you need to calm down your brain that is constantly chattering. You need to do deep abdominal breathing. Learn how to do that so that it doesn't raise your shoulders, it doesn't come up to the chest, it goes right down to your gut. So that when you take a deep breath, your hand, if you're putting it on your stomach, your hand will move when you take a breath. If it's only up here in the chest, you're only tightening up. So abdominal breathing is the key thing. Then the next thing is opening your imagination. Allow yourself to pretend you're in your inner sanctuary. As Jesus said, unless you become as little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And the apostles said, well, how do we do that? And where's the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is right within you. Because it is. Your connection to God is right here inside of you. It's not in any particular place, but usually we think of it as in the chest because it's near the heart area. It isn't in the heart organ itself. It's a spiritual thing. Your spirit resides within you. It's your spirit that wants to be awakened. And to do that, first of all, you relax the body. You picture in your mind some beautiful place in nature or whatever is the most comfortable place for you to sit, and you just imagine peacefulness all around you. Imagination, imaging, is the key second weapon to being able to contact your angels. First, relaxing the body and doing abdominal breathing. Second, awakening your imagination. Imagine you're sitting under a beautiful tree on a warm summer's day, not too hot, just warm. Maybe there are flowers all around you, and you're sitting on a bench, like a park bench. And to your right, comes this being of light. It's just like a light beam walking across your stage, and it actually sits down beside you. What a joy to have an angel of light sit down beside you and say, what do you ask of me, dear one? And you may not even have a word to say because suddenly there are no needs because you are so filled with bliss and hope and joy. There's nothing you need. So learn abdominal breathing. Learn to see a beautiful place in nature where you can take your imagination and go there and become a little child again, trusting that you will receive information from not just Raphael, but Uriel and Gabriel and Michael and all of the archangels, because they're there waiting for you just to open up your mind, your heart, and your soul to any message they may have for you. And that's how I became acquainted with Raphael. Only I did it through my journaling. I journal every day and I type very quickly on the computer. So I can practically take dictation, which is what I did with my first book, which is called Letters from a Guardian Angel. It's available on my webpage, which is Angel Betty Ray, ANDRAPHAEL.com. And you will find that the Letters from a Guardian Angel is available there, as well as other books. And so we do encourage you to go to our webpage, but also we encourage you to buy, whoops, get the right one up there. There we go. Ask Raphael. This is the newest book. You can get it not on my webpage, but on Amazon.com. And we do hope that you read it and that you come back again next time. Thank you for coming, Robert. And that you make an appointment sometime to get a message through to so that I can help you. And you go to my email, which is angelbettyray@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to set up a meeting with you. And before I would say that my readings are free, and they still are, but we are asking for donations now because we're turning my home into a meditation center. And that means I will need special help. And so donations are accepted, but they are not necessary. So it's a wonderful opportunity. The messages I get back from people once they're done with the reading is that they just say, "Wow, I've never felt such love before." And that's what this is all about. When you tune in to Raphael and all the Archangel, you sort of fill up with this sense of joy and bliss and peace and harmony that you just don't want to let go. You don't want to get out of that meditation. But yet you can do it every day by doing abdominal breathing, by relaxing your shoulders, by relaxing your mind, by focusing on something that is beautiful, be it a flower, be it a garden, be it a sunshine, be it at the beach, wherever you find would be the most comfortable place for you to be. I just heard somebody say, when I'm in the waves, if you are a surfer and you find your bliss there, then imagine you have your own beach and all of the waves are perfect and you can just keep skating on those waves. When you imagine it, it's almost real and it gives you that sense of bliss and love and peace and harmony. Awaken your imagination and you will learn to hear the language of angels. For they don't speak in words all the time. You can't hear them, but you can get images. They'll flash images to you. And sometimes you will just feel the warmth of an embrace. Use your imagination, dear ones, and you can speak to angels. So I can say to you, Robert, that when you do this, you will find that you have such peace and harmony within you that it spreads outward into your world. And again, if you want a private consultation with Raphael, email me at angelbettyray@gmail.com. We'd be more than happy to set up a time for you to do that. And so I don't know what time we're at here. I'm going to go to private chat and see where we're at. It looks like our time is up. Can you tell us where we're at, Rebel? It's 11. Oh, that was Talk Media. Okay. How much time do we have left? Can you tell us? Because we get blabbing.
We're on
And
38 into the hour. We're good.
I didn't hear you, Rebel.
We're only at 38 in the hour, so we have.
Okay, so we got more time. Excellent, because I'm going to go back to Raphael's book. We talked about the energy vampire game, and that is one that everybody needs to know about. So this is, again, these are different games that people play. Remember the blame game? That's one that a lot of people get into. And the anger game. Those are the ones that you want to watch out for. The guilt trip game is another one. And the self-pity game, don't let yourself fall into that one. That's so sticky. You don't want somebody feeling sorry for you. You want to be in charge of your life. And there's the other game that reminds me of that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where the father learns that his daughter wants to go to computer school, but she'd been working in his restaurant all this time. And he says, "But you want to leave me?" He couldn't understand that she could have a life of her own, that it wasn't just for him. That's the, yeah, but I only want you to be happy game, and yet it's yourself you want to be happy. So look for the games people play and begin to take the side where we're both winners. No matter what kind of game somebody is playing, don't allow them to manipulate and control you from those games. Instead, simply step off the board and say, "Nope, I'm not going to play this game today. I'm just going to go for a walk, or I'm going to take a ride, and that's it. I'm done." And again, that will help you to be in control of your life. The only one of those games that can be detrimental to the point is the anger game. So I'm coming back to it. I think the people that buy guns are people that are so afraid that their needs will not be met, that they have to have a gun to make people give them what they need. And that is such a sad state of affairs, that you cannot on your own take care of your own needs. And I know life can really get hard. And it has with the pandemic. You lose a job, you've got food to put on the table for a family. But you know getting a gun isn't going to help you. It's only going to put you in jail, and your family will be totally without help. So I wish we could have a ban on all guns, especially machine guns that are guns of war. Why would anyone need that kind of a gun in their home? It doesn't, it just absolutely befuddles my mind why anyone would have the intent to pull the trigger of a gun like that, of somebody who might walk into their home. My goodness, it could be the grandmother. And what would you do after you killed her? What a horrible life you would lead. Oh, dear ones, think twice before you have any kind of a gun in your home. I think I would rather be shot and die before I would ever have a gun in my home. I would think that when I get to the other side, I would say, "Yep, I made the right decision," because I know the other side is only beautiful when my soul is pure and I have done nothing to harm another person. I know what the other side is like. And you can know too. Go online for life after death experiences, and you will hear time and time again of people who have died of natural causes and their spirit lifted out of their body, and they went through this tunnel like thing. And the next thing they know, they were greeted by these beings of light. They just glowed with light and they embraced them, and they were in heaven. And yes, everybody has the opportunity to go to heaven. If you don't believe that you do, then there's a holding tank for you until you believe that you are capable of love again and you can be entered into heaven. There's only you that keeps you out of heaven when you die, and everybody is never judged. There's no judgment, for God is pure love and pure happiness, and there's no room in God's energy to create any kind of punishment. Only humans do that. Only humans do that. But if you truly have been a rogue person and you truly have hurt other people, then there is a place where you go to till you can forgive yourself, because that's what it takes. And when you begin to see how you have worked with other people in a derogatory way, and you begin to see the harm you've done, because that's what happens when you pass over. It's not a judgment time, it's an ability to see how you've affected other people. You get to feel their feelings and listen to their thinking. And that's what you have to deal with. If you cause any harm to another person, that's what you'll have to deal with. And there has to be balance. But the next lifetime, you'll have plenty of opportunity to balance it. And believe me, you're not done yet. There are more lifetimes ahead of you. And and again, make this lifetime the very best one you've ever had by filling your heart with compassion for others, with patience and understanding, and by loving one another such that as God would have loved, as God does love you. So we've talked about that, and we want you to know that all the different kinds of games that people play, and there's one I missed, and it's called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. Because we know of people that will just say whatever they want to say, whether it's fact or fiction, they don't care. If it's something that will convince you to be on their team and to go on their way of thinking, and then you've heard about this statement, and then you get thrown under the bus. Well, that's because if you no longer serve them with their lies, then you are no longer a friend. And if you have any sense of pride and integrity left, you will not be thrown under the bus. You will simply leave the situation. So be careful about who you associate with. And especially if you're in a situation where there's a chance of harm done to you, then we urge you to leave. There's all kinds of shelters that you can go to. You can get help. So the games people play is what we're talking about today. And many of them most of them are self-serving. If it's the pity game, and I remember a particular person who was very good at manipulating other people by saying, well, you need to do this for me because I really need help. And of course, you are a good person and you want to be of service to others. And you fall into the trap of not just being of help, but being a servant to the other person's needs because they have not learned to take care of their own needs yet. They're still babies. And it's why you get caught up in that trap. You do want to help them. You see how they've gotten themselves in a fix, and you do want to help them. So we say to each of you, remember, grown-up adults can still be babies of souls, and that's because they've not had much experience on the planet. And they're always looking for somebody to take care of their needs. And if they don't get it because of your loving compassion, they'll get it because they'll bribe you or they'll put you in a situation where you are in trouble if you don't. But don't allow that to happen. Disassociate completely from them. You don't have to say anything bad about them, but don't allow them to manipulate you into a situation where you are uncomfortable. Just simply not be available when they call. And if that's when you're done with another person because you have nothing left to give them in that regard, then good for you for ending the relationship. And we're just about out of time. I really wish somebody would ask me some questions. I'm looking for comments. Robert, the only message I have for you is to keep on being filled with love and peace and harmony. And when you do that, all the world opens up for you. Don't worry about who you are or where you are in this moment in time. Always give thanks and praise and glory to God, and you will find all your needs will be met. It's only when you get on the worry train that you find it's not going anywhere but right around in circles, like a little toy train keeps going around and around and around. And it never stops until you stop and give praise to God. And when you do, and you say, thank you, God, for every moment that I breathe. Thank you, God, for helping me to have better health. Thank you, God, for helping me to understand other people and to be able to be of service. And if I'm not, to be able to step away, to take care of my own needs, but also to be aware that I am only created to be love and compassion and peace and harmony and bring that to my world, and then it will go to the entire world. When you pray, ask the angels to surround you. Ask them to lift you up out of your own thinking, out of your own depression, and allowing them to have time with you and know that you are a being of light. And that's why you're here in this show with us. God bless each of you. Come back again next time, and we'll have some more things to chat about next Tuesday at noon. Looking forward to it. Bye for now.